Hey, welcome. I'm so happy you're here. I'm Dr. Ariel Hammond, and this is the Enrichment Entrepreneur, a podcast for current and aspiring entrepreneurs who are in the business of helping kids thrive. We're talking after school programs, summer camps, tutoring, enrichment, the people and places that show up for kids outside the classroom. I'm still building right alongside you, and that's exactly why we're here, to learn, grow, and figure this out together.
Let's go!
Welcome back to the Enrichment Entrepreneur. I'm your host, Ariel Hammond. Today we're going to talk about the enrichment economy. Where is it going? We know it's changing. And the question is, are you ready? Let's find out. So before we recorded this season of the podcast, I talked to enrichment operators from across the country. One thing that kept coming up, and not just in those conversations, but also in the data that I'll review throughout this episode, is that the demand for what we do has never been higher. So yay! That's good change for us. The number of operators positioned to meet it has never been lower. Okay, that's also some opportunity for us currently in the space. And for those of us who are a little bit trepidatious but wanting to get started, that's promising. Good time to get started. Today, we're going to talk about why that is. Demand is really high, supply is really low, and what it means for your business right now. So we know that parents want after-school programming for roughly 30 million school-aged children in the United States right now. That number comes from the After School Alliance that was published in late October 2025. Do you want to know how many kids are actively enrolled in programs? That number is just 7 million. So what does that mean? 3 out of 4 kids whose parents want enrichment cannot access it. So that's a huge access issue. And it's not really a crisis. This is just where the market is right now. But here's the thing that nobody's really telling enrichment entrepreneurs. The operators who are going to capture the demands are not the ones with the best programs. We talked about that last week. The ones who are going to capture demand are the ones who are running businesses efficiently enough to scale. They're the ones who can rise above the waves of the day-to-day chaos crashing down, and they can build a plan. They can be strategic. They have healthy margins to deploy strategically. So those are going to be the operators that win in this space. So if you were focusing just on making your program even the next level, it's already great, but you just want to get it perfect, that's great. I support that, but also let's not let that be a distraction from doing the strategic work that's going to ensure that you're able to provide those wonderful programs for 3, 5, 10, 15 years in the future. So this episode is about the gap between where the industry is headed and where most operators are operating today and what we need to do about it before that gap closes on you. Quick break. I'm building NROPS, an all-in-one operations platform built specifically for kids enrichment, entrepreneurs, and operators. I built it because I needed it. Go to getenrops.com to learn more and get on the list. Okay, back to the episode. So first, let's go into the demand. That's a really promising statistic. 7 million kids currently enrolled. 30 million parents want their kids enrolled. What's happening in this space? So we know that the After School Alliance released that survey in 2025 showing that more than half of after-school programs had wait lists. That is a very promising indicator of pent-up demand. That's not really a new problem, and it's actually gotten worse every year since 2020. Meanwhile, what's happening on the school supply side in 2024-2025, that school year, 85% of public schools offered some form of after-school programming, but only 60% offered academically focused programs, which includes enrichment, and that number has been dropping every year. 66% in 2022, 64% in 2023, and 60% now. The percentage of schools reporting no after school programming at all is steadily increasing, reaching 15% in the 2024-2025 school year. So, the reasons for this are funding and staffing. We've seen recent eliminations of funding for after school programs on the federal level in 2026. So, this is not only a trend that is continuing, it is accelerating. So we know the reasons for this decrease in school funded, publicly funded after school care are lack of funding and staffing. About 4 out of 5 after school programs surveyed by the After School Alliance said that they were worried about long term and future funding. The pandemic era emergency relief money has largely dried up. So that was temporary relief, but now the effects are really being seen. The percentage of providers who received emergency relief funds fell to 14% in fall 2024, down from a high of 20% in 2021. So here's what that means for you. The public system is contracting. Demand is not. Parents are going to look for somewhere else to meet their kids' needs. The for profit independent enrichment operator is positioned to capture that gap, but only if you can run programs at the volume and consistency required to meet it. So if we think about what's the larger meaning of those data points that we just reviewed, it means that your business really matters. It doesn't matter just to make you money. It doesn't matter just for you. It matters for families who cannot get their kids into any other programs. They don't have anything else. For a lot of kids, I want to say most, for a lot of kids, school isn't their thing. It doesn't light them up. But that thing they do after school does. That thing they do on the weekends does. That thing they do at their summer camp does. If they don't have that experience, that is just missing out on those magical moments of childhood. Childhood should be full of magical moments that these kids won't get because they don't have any options for it. If you think back to a really wonderful, formative enrichment experience you had as a kid, like imagine not having that. Many of us are in this industry because we did have those experiences. So imagine if we did it. And we don't want that future, that imagined future for our children. We want them to have options. So our work, our businesses, thriving, surviving matters. Next, I want to go over the cost pressure that is very significant, to say the least, in our industry. And spoiler alert, it's not going away. So we know the opportunity is substantial. We just reviewed that. But so is the squeeze. So parent spending on enrichment and youth activities has gone up significantly over time. If you think about that, of course, it's going to go up. Inflation's always going up. But anyway, the average U.S. family spends around $1,016 on their child's primary sport alone in 2024. Study showed that, which was a 46% increase since 2019. So in 4 years alone, let me do my math right. In 5 years, there was a 46% increase in spending on just a child's primary sport in the United States. Wow, that's significant. That's going the right way for us. 71% of parents with school age children say at least one of their kids is involved in extracurricular activities, and families spend an average of $731 per child per year on those activities, with 62% saying those costs have caused them financial stress. So parents are spending, but they are stressed about spending, which means they are paying attention to value and they're not automatically renewing. They're not automatically coming back for more without a really compelling reason. And they're not going to tolerate a disorganized, hard to communicate with program when there are alternatives. And a lot of times there are still free alternatives. And if you just think about that, like if if a program's going to be disorganized, hard to communicate with, then what's the free option at worst is just that. So they might as well roll the dice and try that free option or much cheaper option. But anyway, I digress. So on the operator side, costs are rising faster than most of us have been able to raise prices. I feel that deeply. Insurance and youth enrichment has only gone up over time. Instructor pay expectations have shifted with the broader labor market. Materials, equipment, and facility fees are all higher than they were 3 years ago. Every year, the facilities rentals for the public schools we work with, most of us in the country use Facilitron. Um, and you log back in, getting ready for fall of the next school year. Oh, fees went up even more, extra $3 an hour. Okay. So yep, that's the reality. And the cash flow problem, the seasonal gap between when the money goes out versus when it comes in, is getting harder to manage without a system behind it. We know that 82% of small businesses that fail cite cash flow problems as the primary cause. So they don't cite the wrong market, they cite cash flow. And a seasonal business like ours, that is not a future risk, that is a present one. And every single year, if you're not managing it intentionally, it returns. And as we scale, it can actually get worse and worse over time. So, moving right along here, the operators who will not survive the next 3 years. It sounds so like doom and gloom. You're not going to survive. But, if you don't change and adapt to the times, you really won't, though. So, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics data, nearly half of all businesses close within their first 5 years. Most of us know that statistic. That number is for all industries. Service businesses, specifically, though, have pressures that are higher and margins that are even thinner. So, enrichment operators who are most at risk right now share a few things in common. So I'm not saying this to scare anyone, just got to keep it real here. I'm saying it because I've been most of these things at some point. So I'm speaking from my own experience. So the operators most at risk, one, they are running 5, 6 different platforms duct taped together. And this is a truth that the community has confirmed for me, reiterated over time. Every single operator I surveyed before this season of the podcast is using at minimum 3 or 6 or more is more common, different tools to run their business. Even if they're a solopreneur, they're using at least 3 different platforms, and those with at least part-time staff with increasing complexity use over 6 on average. No two people I talk to use the same combination of tools. Wild. And I don't think it's really a coincidence. I think that this is an industry wide infrastructure gap. It costs us time, it produces so many errors, it prevents us from developing those operational efficiencies that make being in business over a longer time horizon, like feel good and sustainable. Like the whole idea in starting a business is it's going to be hard at first, but it's going to get easier later. And I am here to tell you that it is not getting easier. It's getting harder, more complex. And that is so unfortunate to feel even more stress, to have even less cash flow as you scale. It makes you not want to grow your business. That something is wrong in our industry that needs to change because that's not right, and it is normal. It's not just me. Others are feeling that. Most of us are feeling that, and that has to change for us. So when we have this infrastructure gap, it's costing us time, which costs us money and opportunities. It produces errors and it prevents the kind of operational visibility that lets you see cash flow problems before they become a crisis. They know roughly what came in last month. They don't know exactly what their margins are. They don't know the margins they ran on their most recent programs. They don't know their fill rates by site, by season. When costs go up, they don't know which lever to pull because they can't see the entire machine clearly. And you'll know if you're one of those operators if I ask you, what was your gross revenue last month? What was your net collected revenue last month? So after the expenses, the direct expenses of those programs, paying your staff, the consumable materials, the rental fees, how much net was collected from that? What are your gross margins? What are your net margins? If we're not knowing those numbers, they can go up, go down, and we're none the wiser. We're not ahead of the numbers. We're just blind to them and experiencing the outcomes of the numbers being smaller and smaller and smaller because when we're not paying attention to them, they don't work in our favor. They work against us. Another thing that I see for enrichment operators who are the most at risk, they are doing by hand what their competition, which are the larger, better resource providers, are automating. So they're still working by hand, super inefficient processes. Their competitors, regional, national, international competitors, they have automations, they have systems, they have their internal platforms. The operators that are struggling are not lazy at all. They're working harder and they're working so hard that they don't have bandwidth at the end of the day. And so the operators who are really struggling with this, they're not lazy at all. They are just trying to keep up. That reminds me of the Good Times theme song. Keeping your head above water, making the wave if you can. Temporary layoffs, good times, easy credit ripoffs, good times, scratching and surviving, good times, hanging in the chow line, good times. I gotta finish it. Ain't we lucky we got 'em? Boom, 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 boom. Good times, yeah. Hmm. We're gonna keep that in the episode. We're keeping it in. So anyway, good times. We're trying to have good times here, but we're scratching and surviving, hanging in the child line. We got to get above water. Make a way if we can. That exists for us, those struggles with our lack of systems, because there is no system, no exact right tool combination for us operating at scale. That is until now. We'll get into that. So, if we know the operators who will struggle, those traits that they have in common, what are the traits of the operators who are set up to prosper in these next few years? And so what I'm seeing is the operators who are going to be strong in 2027, 2028, 2029, and beyond, they're building the operational infrastructure right now. So they're not waiting until it gets harder to build it. They're building it right now with the complexities and inefficiencies and everything and the different demands on their day right here, right now. They're building their infrastructure. So what does that even look like specifically? They know their numbers by their program, by their site, by their quarter. They don't need a spreadsheet to that they need to update to remember. They have a system that gives them real time information and data so they can make real time decisions before things get out of hand. Um, so they have automations and systems in place where they can just see the data. They don't then have to go retrieve the data from this platform and make it talk to that platform, and then they have to manually input all the stuff, and then they can make sense of it. That by the end of that sequence, a couple of hours have already passed. Good grief. All I wanted was to know how my enrollment has changed from today from this time last week. It should be pretty simple to know that. Those who are going to prosper in these upcoming years, they have parent communication that runs without them manually touching it at every single session. So their enrollment confirmations, their payment reminders, their session reminders and session updates, they have automated these communications. It's consistent, it's professional, it's appropriately individualized as needed, it's effective. They analyze the outcomes of their automated communication and they make tweaks and improve their messages in the future. If they got a parent that replied with a question to that enrollment confirmation, or a couple parents have asked that same question, they then update their template for their enrollment confirmations, and they continue to iterate, and that further improves their automations for the future. And this is important because parents now expect timely, consistent, accurate, frequent communication from every service that they use. Y- I was about to go on a rant about it. I guess I am. Here we go. I receive too much communication from the dentist. I don't need all those text reminders from the doctor. Okay, that's a lot. From everything I use, if I use like a moving service or whatever it is, it's a lot of communication. It's a lot of updates. Anytime I buy something now, I have to get locked in, strapped in, and ready for the myriad of emails and messages and newsletter updates I'm going to get ad nauseum until the end of time. Even when after I press unsubscribe, I'm still somehow getting these things. But anyway, so most businesses are optimizing. We're used to that. As consumers, we're used to that now. And we've come to expect it, especially from service providers. We expect that personal touch, and how communication is handled, how it's automated, how effective and timely it is versus how ineffective it is. That shapes the perception of the value of your service. So this is a really important area to pay close attention to and to put some intentional work towards. Your competition, they're not just other enrichment providers. Uh, it's every app, every platform, every subscription that has set a standard for that effortless, timely, effective communication. Those operators who are going to do well in the near future, they also can onboard a new instructor without it costing them a week of their personal bandwidth, because they have a documented process, they have teams supporting them, they systems that support them, so they're not reinventing the wheel each and every time. They can absorb turnover effectively and efficiently because they've planned for it rather than just reacting to it. This is very similar to what happens when one of your staff members is sick. Do you just react to it? Well, after a certain amount of people getting sick, you got to sit down. It might be on your weekend if you don't have enough time during the work week, and get ahead of it. Okay, let me develop some sub plans here. Let me develop a contingency plan. What happens when these different situations come up? Because they always do. Start to proactively plan and then integrate tools and people and supports to systematize this process. We know that there's going to be instructor turnover. In previous episodes, we've talked about that being a huge issue for us in our industry, the constant turnover. So we know that that's a feature of the business. So let's at least help ourselves out by making the hiring, offboarding, and onboarding process as efficient as possible. Operators who are going to do well in the near term, they can look 30, 60 days ahead at their cash position and they can see what's coming before it arrives. They know their year over year. Where is your revenue year over year right now compared to this time last year? Is your revenue up? Is your revenue down? Sometimes if your revenue is bad, that might not be a bad thing. In my business, we have become much more efficient at a lot of our processes, and sometimes that means partnerships that you have to really chase and chase and chase for enrollment. Um, Running programs at a loss. Maybe stop doing that. So the important part there is knowing your numbers And those who know their numbers, especially their revenue numbers and what their cash flow is looking like, and what it's about to look like in the next 30, 60, 90 days, so they can see that coming before it arrives. And that comes down to having the right tools. So, looking at the opportunities here, we know that there is a $21 billion market for youth enrichment in the United States. That's huge. The 30 million kid demand gap is real. The question is not whether there's an opportunity here. We know that there is. The question is whether your operations are efficient enough to capture it. If you have solid operations, lean, profitable, predictable, automatable, you're in pretty good shape. And if you don't, then you're not. And we're all in different stages of that spectrum. No one's completely optimized and no one's completely a wreck. We're all somewhere on the spectrum there. And we can do some things to just move ourselves along to put the odds in our favor so that when those opportunities present themselves, we're able to capture that demand, that pent up demand. And when I talk about lean operations, I'm talking about not necessarily cutting programs or reducing your staff. Like getting lean is more so about eliminating that administrative drag that's eating your margins and your time without adding anything to the experience you deliver. So I wouldn't recommend getting lean if you provide a top notch, high quality experience and you keep your adult to child ratio at one adult to every 12 children, and you find that to be your sweet spot. Above that, it's too much for you. The brand promise is compromised. The child's experience is not as much of a guarantee. Knock it out the park situation. All right, well, we don't want to get lean and say we're going to double up. One adult, 24 kids, let's go. No, we can lean out in some other areas. Maybe you have bloated admin support on the back end, and many of us do in this industry because of the lack of a proper all-in-one platform, the lack of proper tools. We are depending on people to do things that other industries have automated through technology, through their all-in-one platforms years, sometimes decades ago. So as an industry, we're just behind the ball on that. But the good thing is, if we're behind the ball on that, then that means there is some uncaptured profit, margin, opportunity there for all of us. So what would a solution look like? It would look like one platform, and all in one instead of 5, 6 plus tools. It would have registration, invoicing, scheduling, communication, all in that one place so that you stop switching between all of these tools and you stop losing data between all of these tools, and so that you can stop spending Saturday mornings reconciling your spreadsheets and sending parent messages for the next week. Knowing your cost per session, per site, per program before you commit to anything new is imperative, because every new site that runs at a loss, it may feel like growth, but it's really not. It's actually a drain. And we want to make sure that we're building for repeatability. So the operators who are scaling cleanly right now, they have systems that work the same way, whether they're running 3 sites or 30 sites. And this doesn't have to do with them hiring more people. It's more so because they've built a process and they follow it. And the process is an effective one. And so it allows them to run at a certain quality level, regardless of 3, 30, or 300 sites. And keep in mind that the barriers to entry for our industry are very low. They're lower than preschools, they're lower than schools. They're very, very low. And that means there's more competition for us. Operators who will be standing, another song. I'm still standing. Reminds me of the movie Sing. My kids love it. Anyway, the operators who will be still standing in 5 years are those who turned that low barrier into a high floor. They got into youth enrichment and they raised the bar. They didn't use the lack of regulation, certifications, and all of that as a reason to deliver the lowest quality possible. They use that as a challenge. This is how easy it is to get in here. Oh no, I will show you all how it's supposed to be done, and we will work with excellence. That's what I'm all about. And if you're here, I know you are too. So, as we end our time here today, I want to review that we know the demand is here. The families want programs. 3 out of 4 families that want the programs for their kids, they want enrichment, have no access to it. The gap is not just going to close itself, it's going to close because operators like you decide to run something better and run it right. If you are listening to this and thinking about what your operations actually look like, whether you could absorb 3 new sites right now without it breaking you, whether you could absorb an additional 10 new sites without it breaking you, whether your customer base could increase substantially, could it double this year without it breaking you? Those are the questions to sit with this week. To help you, I have free resources as always. There's a time audit template and monthly budget tracker available for free so we can get ahead of our cash flow and so we can also see where our time is going, because where our time is going the most on um, tasks that are not in our zone of excellence and aren't things that we really enjoy, those are things that we can look to as starting points for automation, for support, for delegation, for developing processes. And if you want to be first in line for a platform built specifically for enrichment operators by an enrichment operator, and who's building that? Me. That's who. Where registration, scheduling, invoicing, communication, all of that lives in one place. Finally, you can get on the list. We are limiting our founding cohort. You can learn more at getenrops.com. That is GETENROPS.com. I don't know why I danced to it, but I'm going to do that again. That is GETENROPS.com. And I'm really excited about it because it's a solution to the problems that I've had in my business. It's it's already helped so much. So my own business is the first test case for this platform for NROPS. It stands for Enrichment Operations. And already in the processes that we've developed so far, and the platform has saved us a projected $83,000 in 2026 alone. Ah, amazing. So I'm really excited to share that with others like me who want to improve their margins, who want to become more efficient, who want to scale. This is exciting. And not only have we saved a projected $83,000 by the end of this year, at the same time, we've saved on average 16 hours a week. So we are saving money, we're saving time, and as we continue to use this platform and develop our use cases through our founding cohort with the program, we're also going to be bringing data. We're bringing the receipts for how much more money businesses that use NROPS are making. Because I have this hypothesis that if there's this all in one platform that not only allows the user to have all of their stuff in one place, but then helps them, acts as their like assistant, helping them to do work on their behalf, helping them to get ahead of things. And it helps them save a lot of money and save a lot of time. I think it's also going to help them make more money. So we're going to see. I'm going to come back and bring you the impact of that first on my own business, but then also on others' businesses as they begin using the platform later this summer. All right. So that is all for this episode. I'm really excited to bring you more information as I develop this tool for our industry that is going to help all of us learn, grow, thrive, and to serve more families that need and want youth enrichment for their kids. All of this exists so that we can make childhood magical, right? Like that is such a deeply meaningful purpose to what we're doing here. So let's make that magic. Let's expand our magical moments and yeah, and let's make our businesses sustainable while we do it. Until next time, thank you all for spending this time with me today. I'll see you next week. Bye. And one more thing. Remember, I'm building NROPS, finally, an all-in-one platform built specifically for kids enrichment, entrepreneurs, and operators. We're talking everything all in the same place. Finally, from scheduling to instructor management to partner and parent communication to onboarding and registration, all of it. I built it because we need it. So go to getinrops.com to get on the list. See you next episode. And that's a wrap. Know someone who needs to hear this episode? Share it because
Sharing is caring.
if this episode earned it, give us all the stars in a review on whatever platform you're listening on because it helps other enrichment entrepreneurs find this show.
Until next time, keep learning, keep building.